Hi, my name is Theo, and I help young men use weightlifting to build muscle and to build a dream physique that they can be proud of. Now, there's a whole bunch of theories going around the internet about what you should eat to really get big on a bodybuilding diet. You've probably looked around and you tried a chicken and broccoli diet or a 10,000 calorie bulking challenge or something like that, but I'm here to tell you that those don't actually work. Now, let me explain. Odds are what you're doing right now, what you've seen the influencers doing online, isn't healthy or sustainable in the long run, nor will it maximize your muscle gain. What these diet routines get is that they get a whole lot of attention, they get a whole lot of clicks on YouTube. So today, I'm going to show you the best foods for building mass and retaining energy throughout the day as a beginner in weightlifting. Now, these kind of fad crash diets that you see circling around the internet today are usually very high in a macronutrient called carbohydrates. Now, what carbohydrates do if you eat a whole bunch of them within a day, let's say above 100 grams, is that they basically give you a carb crash where your body is working so hard to digest the carbs that are in your system, that are in your stomach trying to be digested, that you really can't really focus on anything else because your body is using so much energy to digest those carbs. So that really does sap your energy. It makes you slow, sluggish, pretty much demotivated to do anything. Now, this is obviously not good if you're going to be going to the gym like 1 to 2 hours for 6 days a week. We got to change your diet so that you're not on a carb crash, basically. And the only way to do that is to stop eating carbs. But the question is, where do you get your energy from if you're not eating carbs, right? Because we were all told in school that carbohydrates are key to our body's energy, right? Because our body's got to burn something to have energy so we can actually do stuff. Just thought I should mention here that if you're interested in building your dream physique, you should check out my one-to-one muscle building coaching. The link to it is in the description. I'll basically hold your hand throughout the whole muscle building process, and I'll try and get you your dream result. Now, the solution to the carb crash problem is to stay away from carb-dense foods and instead stick to high-protein, high-fat foods that will keep you satisfied on the bulk, but also give you a whole lot of clean-burning energy that is actually a lot more efficient and a lot more friendly to the mitochondria in your cells compared to a balls-out diet with a whole bunch of carbs in it. Now, before I start going through the list, you're going to want to look for the labels of grass-fed, grass-finished, free-range, pasture-raised, certified organic, and made with minimal ingredients if they're a multi-ingredient food. So look for all those labels on the food that you're buying, and you'll get better results within your fitness, basically, because there's a whole bunch of nasty stuff in food these days that you don't want inside your body, and looking for those labels is going to hopefully reduce that. Now, the number one food item that you should be eating while on a bulk is red meat. Now, red meat comes from these specific animals called ruminants. Now, ruminants are species of animals like sheep, cows, lamb, elk, venison, deer, veal. Just look for a high-fat red meat, and ask your butcher for that. Ask your parents to buy that for you, and basically they'll know what you mean. So the reason ruminants are so good for you is because all of the animals which classify as ruminants, what they do is they eat grass first, right? That's what they eat, and then they digest it. It goes into their stomach, and then they kind of throw it back up into their mouth again. That's called cud, right? It's like partly digested grass, and then they chew that again. They swallow it again, and then the cycle repeats, right? Where they're chewing their cud and then swallowing it again. This super refined digesting process that they have makes them super delicious and also super nutritious to eat because they've gotten all of the nutrients from the plants that they're eating in their natural environment. Now, next up on the list, number 2 is non-ruminant animals that are harvested for their meat, right? So this is pork, chicken, fish. There might be others depending on where you come from, but meat is pretty much always good. Non-processed meat is always like S tier in this diet. So you're always going to want to look for fattier cuts because they're more satiating. If you're on the keto diet, the high fat cuts are where it's going to give you more energy compared to the leaner cuts. And honestly, they just taste better because fat in food is what gives it texture and flavor as well. Now, next up, number 3 are processed meats. So these are your deli meats, your bacon, other stuff. Now, these are a good choice for bulking on a diet, but they're definitely worse for you than just plain old unprocessed meat because of the various additives. So, like nasty stuff, chemicals that you can't even pronounce, preserving agents, dye, that kind of stuff. But they're still keto, so they're an excellent runner-up choice. Now, number 4 is eggs. Now, eggs are probably the best on this list. They're probably the most necessary food for the human body to consume. They include a great amount of protein and fat, and they're easy to cook and digest, and they can be bought pretty much at any grocery store, at any farmer's market. You're gonna want to look for free range and cageless labels. I won't really get into why that needs to be said, but you probably know. Some excellent runner-ups to eggs are yogurt. Now, yogurt, you probably know what it is, but it's high protein and it's quite filling. I recommend that you buy plain Greek yogurt with a milk fat percentage above 0, and you eat it with some nuts or some low-carb fruits like lemons or fuel berries. Now, the reason your Greek yogurt should have a certain amount of milk fat in it is because fat-free Greek yogurt tastes terrible, and it's also like less good for you than high-fat Greek yogurt. Also, it has a much better texture. Now, next up is cheese. Now, cheese is another great substitute for red meat. It can be good just plain or fried or eaten with nuts. It pretty much has an infinite amount of uses, but it's pretty good for a bodybuilding diet. Now, last up is nuts, my personal favorite. They're cheap and delicious if you know how to roast and slash or salt them. I recommend that you do this yourself, the roasting and the salting process, rather than just buying them from the grocery store this way. It's not hard. Just look up how to roast and salt whatever nut on Google, and it'll give you a nice recipe that's easy to do within like half an hour within your own oven. So I don't see why you shouldn't do it that way. Roasted almonds, cashews, peanuts are all great. You can also buy organic peanut butter. That's in this category. But when you're buying organic peanut butter, make sure it says made with 100% peanuts, or on the ingredients list, the only ingredient is peanuts, basically. Because all the other peanut butter varieties, I'm sorry to say, they have seed oils in them, and they'll probably give you cancer. Because the other peanut butter varieties have seed oils and other additives in them, and they'll probably give you cancer. So the last one on this list are low-carb protein shakes. So these can be made with nut butters, nut milks, dairy, low-carb fruits, low-carb sweeteners, protein powder, and nuts. Now, you want your protein powder to be whey isolate, not like plant protein or pea protein or any of that bullshit. You want it to be grass-fed, preferably comes from a healthy cow, and most importantly, so pay attention to this, you're going to want plain protein powder compared to this artificially sweetened stuff like strawberry or chocolate or like whatever other flavors they have going around today, because the artificial sweeteners in there are definitely not good for you. Now, some limiting beliefs that people have when I start talking about this diet is that their parents aren't going to let them eat like this. Their parents aren't going to let them have 5 servings of meat per day. Their parents aren't going to let them raid the cupboards for whatever nuts they have. So either try to convince your parents to let you do so, like try and convince them that you're taking your health seriously and you want to start eating like someone who takes care of his health, or eat more protein and fat during meal times and less carbs. So maybe like put 2 steaks on your plate and maybe just like a single potato or something like that, and just say that you feel like having more meat today. Or and this is a good strategy, if you have your own money, you can start buying your own meat and preparing it yourself, right? That's a valuable skill, and the sooner you learn how to cook for yourself, the better. Now, a lot of you more health conscious individuals might also be freaking out because your doctor told you that saturated fat foods were bad. And you might be thinking that this will kill you because saturated fat is just the devil and it'll kill you and it'll stop your heart. Well, your doctor is using outdated research from the 90s. Basically, the idea that saturated fat is bad for you has been completely disproven by this point. It's actually probably the best fat for you available because it comes from an animal. And like, how could anything that comes from an animal, from part of nature, be that terrible for you, right? Unless the animal's poisoned or something. High saturated or animal fat diets are perfectly acceptable to the nutrition science community now and have never really been the cause of heart disease or obesity, which are actually caused by seed oils, which you should avoid with your life, right? Seed oils are terrible, and that's pretty much the end of the story. So stay away from them. Now, the actionable step is start eating more of these foods today and slowly work over some weeks to eliminate carbs. You'll have more energy in the gym and see better results from it. So maybe you can also just eat some low carb fruits like field berries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and some melons like cantaloupe, watermelon, honeydew, stuff like that. Those are pretty low in carbs. So feel free to eat those just to wean yourself off of constantly eating carbs, as well as low carb vegetables like leafy greens, asparagus, stuff like that. Or you can just keep eating carbs altogether with this diet and still build a whole lot of muscle, but still feel sluggish and tired and not really motivated to hit your workouts. So you can do whatever you want. This is just the stuff that's worked for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you learned from this video and you like what you saw here, and comment if this routine worked for you, and check out my other videos. They should be popping up right now. I'll see you later.